am Tammy Kaitz, and I am chatting with Chris Gordon of Hellblazer Biz.
Everyone, I have the honour and the privilege of the company of actress Tammy Kaitz today. Hey, Tammy, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. I appreciate the fact that we can get together like this across from sitting over in LA and me over in Wales. It's great.
Amazing.
Brilliant. So yeah, like I say, we're just going to go through a few questions and find out a bit more about yourself and what you've done, and see how it goes and go from there.
Great. Sounds good.
Excellent. First thing, why acting? How did you first get into acting?
I've never not, I know it sounds cliche to say destined to do this, but I have never not done this. When I was 3 years old, I was putting on plays in my backyard. Mm-hmm. And before I was a teen, I was, I think, 11, maybe 12. I was looking through the local newspaper and saw auditions for Peter Pan. And without telling my mom, I jumped on my bike and I rode 10 miles to the theater and auditioned. It just has never occurred to me to do anything else. And I started with Peter Pan, doing local theater in Denver, Colorado, where I'm from. I went to college, University of Colorado, Boulder, studying theater. I went there because my boyfriend was there, so I followed him there. And then in between my sophomore and junior year, I went to a professional acting school in London and then came back and finished my degree. And then had to figure out whether it was New York or LA. I didn't want to stay in Denver. I really wanted to do this professionally. Yeah. And I can't sing and I can't dance. And I can dance, but I'm really tone deaf. So I headed to LA.
Excellent. Well, yeah, I suppose, you got the choice of New York and Broadway, haven't you, or LA?
Right.
And I know you've done a lot of stage work as well. I've been looking at your resume. You do stage and big screen and small screen as well. So, which do you prefer? Do you prefer doing it on stage or? So this is a difficult question because they're so different, but they're
they really are. I love doing theater, and I haven't been on stage. I haven't done a play in about 6-7 years, and I would love to do some theater again. There's nothing like it. It's like building a barn with these actors and the team, and then you get to have a story from start to finish, that you share with the audience, and you tell a story. And it's when you've done theater, it's hard not to want to do it again. And then it's a blast working in front of the camera. It's, so they're so different. It's like apples and oranges, and I like apples and I like oranges.
Good answer. I did theatre when I was younger in school, right up to the age of 18, and at university I did it as amateur, just as a free time hobby, doing things like Macbeth and pantomimes and things like that. I absolutely do. And you're right. There's nothing like getting on the stage and just being. I was Drake the butler in Annie at school. And I always remember that, just for the adulation of coming on, and it took something a lot thinner and obviously had better looks, I think, when I was younger. So I came on, and there's little wolf whistles from my girlfriend and her friends at the time. And I came on stage, it was like, oh, listen to that. And when I delivered, was it a line? It was like Daddy Warbucks, it's the FBI. And the way I delivered it, people came and said, "You said that with such disdain." And I was like, "Thank you." And they said, "No, it's really."
I did it.
I said, "All I was doing was copying Fox Mulder because I'd just seen it on the X-Files." So no, you're right. They are vastly different, but there's something about stage I think is absolutely amazing. And you've worked on stage as well with likes of Billy Bob Thornton and Lisa Kudrow. So what was it like working with those two? Because it's all Billy Bob Thornton.
I was, when I was young and we were all struggling actors, Billy Bob was my friend and he hadn't done anything yet. So we were just pals, and we did a play in Hollywood and that was great. It was before he did Sling Blade. And then with Lisa Kudrow, there was a theater in Hollywood that was called the Tiffany Theater that was just an amazing theater. It's really a shame that it closed down. And it was before she did Friends. And, we just were kind of young actors together. And then fresh out of college, actually, one summer I worked with Annette Bening before she we did Love's Labor's Lost before she went on to New York and really started her career winning a Tony for, I think it's called Coastal Disturbances. So, we were all really young and really at an equal sort of level in life. Yeah. And it was just great. It was great.
Fantastic. And I mean, it's lovely to hear because, I mean, it's nice you see everyone sort of tries to get their hand in theatre as well, because I think it's great, but I think a lot of the responses I usually get to theatre is the fact that it's such a long process, whereas when you're working in TV and film as well, the fact that you have to dedicate, say, 6 to 8 months even sometimes to a theatre production.
I love the process of theatre. Like, I absolutely love it. And I actually think there's a depth to what you can do as an actor with the characterization and the character you create and the life you're able to give that character because you've lived with it longer than doing a shoot where you get cast and you're shooting a couple days later.
Yeah, and each night, I guess, it can be a completely different performance because you're going to get a different reaction from every audience you hear.
Right.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Excellent. So how do you, when it comes to like TV and obviously there's lots of casting for, I mean, for every time someone like yourself, you land yourself, you book yourself a role, there's lots of self-tapes and auditions that you've gone through. I know, I mean, even from my show, I know from every time I get someone great like you on the show, there's like 100 people who've just not responded or just not got anywhere. So I kind of get a little bit of that feeling in this industry. That's that's how it is. So how do you prepare yourself for casting calls and self tapes and things like that? How do you prepare?
Well, every actor's getting very good at self-taping during this pandemic. So they started doing self-taping a couple years ago at home for a lot of the indie projects. So I, got myself the tripod and I had a ring light and, and felt pretty comfortable doing that. If it was important, if it was like an important job potential, I would go elsewhere where there was a studio and where there would be readers that weren't my husband. My husband is spectacular. I actually married my childhood sweetheart. Oh. However, he's got kind of a monotone voice. So now that we're home with the pandemic, I have no choice. But yesterday I self-taped for a feature film. Right. And when my adorable husband, whose name is Steve, when he reads me back the lines, it's a little monotone. So I have to kind of tell him, you have to take a beat here, and I have to give him a little acting coaching, but it's not his thing. He's not in the entertainment industry. So if it is important, I would go elsewhere and have a different sort of result. But I'm no different than all the other actors right now that are self-taping at home with loved ones or asking friends to, read the lines on a speakerphone or something like that. So we do the best we can.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially this situation is quite difficult for everyone. So and to a lot of people I speak to, they do have that exactly the same sort of, the partners are reading the
I know. What are you going to do?
Exactly. There's nowhere else to do it, so it's a good way to do it. And once you've booked that job, how do you then prepare yourself to be in that character? What kind of things do you go through? What kind of thought processes do you go through?
Well, I assume this is pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic, yeah.
Yeah, I actually was lucky because I shot 2 little indie films in February, right before the shutdown. I would say, that's a great question. And I would say when I was younger, there almost was a broader net of forming a character. I think that as we age, we get really settled into the type of human being we are and the way the world sees us. And so when I get hired, it's really because they want the essence of who I am and my type. Now I say that so that it's really I bring my life into it, and I make artistic choices, but it's in the framework of who I am. So I say that, but about 5 years ago, I was cast in the one of the leads in a horror film that's called The Bone Garden, and the two leads are two middle-aged broads. One is a mousy sort of doesn't have a good marriage, sort of character, and the other one is her good time party cougar girlfriend who brings young boys home and has her way with them.
Yeah.
And then their heads end up in the trunk of her red Hunkmobile convertible that she got in her divorce settlement. So certainly there was nothing when I was cast in that. There was nothing of who I am as Tammy Kaitz, but it was written so well. Mike Guthridge wrote it so well that the lines and the comedy, I was kind of the comic relief. And certainly, as a woman, we know how to flirt and have fun, and they had cute young boys, that I got to do scenes with and stuff like that. So I think I've been doing it so long, I just kind of start with who I am and then kind of build from there.
Excellent. I did actually watch the reel to The Bone Garden. I was chuckling away to it.
It was fun.
So yeah, I know about the red convertible because I saw.
So, did you see the scene where I opened it up and there were those heads sitting in the trunk?
Of course, I didn't get that bit. I didn't get that far, and I was just skimming through them. But yeah, I've got most of that one. But yeah, I'll have to rewatch that one now.
Listen, modern, filmmaking. So they took a great big, huge box, like a moving box, and cut out heads, and the actors put their heads up through there. They had already had their makeup on, and they actually allowed the makeup artist team to place live worms on their face and head. And it was shot very quickly, but it came out so great. That was like my first day of shooting on set, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that. Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned there as well the comedic roles. What kind of role do you prefer? Because I mean, I've looked at going through some of your reels, and there does seem to be a penchant for comedy roles, which which you're really good at. To be fair, I was watching.
Thank you. It's funny, Chris, because I don't think I'm funny at all. I'm actually kind of a really serious, grounded person. I think I was born old. I have had not a particularly easy path in life, and I think that I just was born kind of with a certain sort of maturity. However, if it is written well, I just innately know what to do with it. And my husband keeps saying you should not negate how good you are at comedy. But, I really love the dramas. I do. Yeah. But if it's written well, there's nothing like saying the lines of the writer that gets the comic nuances and being able to create laughter with it.
Fantastic, excellent. That's how I've looked at the reel, so I'll be picking up some of these films to actually watch properly as well. I will do that because they do look good, especially just from the clips I've seen as well. It was Man Camp as well. That looked quite.
Well, so that's my current. That's the
current one, isn't it?
Which I'm like so excited about. So it's streaming on Amazon right now. And I actually have a couple movies on Amazon, but Man Camp is the current one that I'm just so thrilled with. And for them to write a character of a middle-aged woman to give me comedy, drama, and some romance in there was just spectacular. And when I went to that audition and they sent me the sides, they gave me a comedy scene and a drama scene to do. Like I was determined to get this part. I wanted this part so badly. So I have the female lead, and Pete Gardner from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. People may know him from that, plays my boyfriend. And it's a wacky comedy. And I think the world needs some laughs now. And so, get a bowl of popcorn and pop open a beer and sit back and watch Man Camp streaming on Amazon. And it's just fun. It's just fun.
It did look, especially when your on-screen sons walked in on you. That was Yeah, that was a good funny moment. It's like, Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, that's life, right?
Exactly, exactly. I mean, you have got sort of a really good, resume in film and TV as well. And one of them I'd once screamed at me was Knots Landing. So what was it like being on that? Because that's obviously Knots Landing's quite, it's one of these stalwart ones shows which are there. So
Well, that was a big deal for me when I was younger. So there was one season, I think it might have been like, it was definitely after the show was very popular and had been running for a number of seasons. And they did one season where they did flashbacks to show how the relationships evolved.
yeah.
So, for instance, Nicolette Sheridan played the young Michelle Phillips,
hmm
and Josh Devane played the young William Devane, and I played the young Michelle Lee lookalike. So that was just, I don't know at the time we realized how special it was,
hmm
but it was, I mean, it was really terrific. And then, to work for a big studio, it was shot at Sony, and to have that studio experience at a fairly young age in my, my career was terrific.
Excellent, excellent. And as a woman in film, because women in film is something I push for as well a lot, because there's still, I think, there's a lot of inequality in film industry. Have you found that's got any better in recent years than previous to try and get roles or try and book? How have you experienced that? Because I'm interested to hear, because obviously I know we always hear and we see that, obviously, especially with pay. Um, it's just.
I think as you get, it's so interesting as you live through life and you
hmm
mature and you age. It's so interesting because there's so many unbelievably wonderful roles that I see my male peers playing.
hmm
And I think people forget that a woman can do more than just saying in a script, kids clean up your bedroom, and dinner's on the table. And so I think it takes a little bit more creativity for a writer to realize that we come with such a plethora of stories from, it's not just the 20-year-olds that have great stories, but as we age, there are like unbelievable stories to be told
hmm
for all age ranges, not just the young. And so it's interesting because I do think my male colleagues, there's more meatier stuff for them to do. And so what I do is, if somebody wants me to, offers me something, and I look at the script and the part isn't interesting, and the mom role or the female role of my age or whatever she is, the boss or whatever, is not interesting, I'm just not going to, I don't want to do it. It doesn't feed my soul. I don't need to do it. So I look for things that let me dig in a little bit.
Excellent. Sounds really good. And I got into trouble once because they were talking about James Bond and obviously having a female Bond, and I was like, no, not a female Bond. It's not a sexist thing, because obviously Bond is in the book. If you go to the books, what I said was, and
Yeah.
because everyone jumped on me on social media, but they didn't read what I'd said. What I'd actually said was, don't have a female Bond. What you need to do is, there's so many writers out there. Rather than have a female James Bond, why don't you create a new character? Same
Good
sort
one.
of thing, and then specifically make it a female-led role, and then you can have a new series with a female-led character.
There you
It doesn't have
go.
to be Bond,
Very,
because then otherwise everyone's going to compare you to, compare the female to or the
yeah.
Bonds. It's like, not, why don't you just create a brand new character and a brand new? That's what I was trying to say. It wasn't, because everyone jumped on. Oh, you sexist? It's not sexist. I'm trying to say it in a
Yeah.
better way. It's like, I do want to see that kind of thing, and we need more of those kind.
We do, but actually, the last couple of years, I mean, we are seeing this
Oh
emergence
yeah.
of female filmmakers and female writers, and
hmm
so much more diversity in front of the camera, and behind the camera as well as in front of the camera. And so,
Oh, definitely.
the female filmmakers, many of them are indie filmmakers, but they are the future of the film industry, where hopefully. It won't be dominated by one particular sex or race, but it will
Yeah.
be an umbrella of many things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a great example of that, and big Hollywood film was Avengers
Yeah,
Endgame. At the end of Avengers Endgame, because it was like,
yeah,
I did love that scene because you had all the men, I was all, all shattered, and it was like, no, let's stand aside now.
yeah, right, right.
Let's just get it sorted. It was really good. But yeah, you're right. I mean, to have that diversity and to have that, you say diversity that should be the normal, and I do fully agree.
Oh,
That should definitely.
oh, absolutely. No, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
excellent. So, what's been your most memorable moment filming? Across, what's the most memorable thing that you've done, or that you've been involved?
Uh, with every single project, I think
Mhm.
there's a moment that is just so wonderful, and that's the moment I carry with me. I think, um, and even silly things in the Bone Garden. I was actually they fired the actress 48 hours before principal photography, and
Oh gosh.
hired me and sent me a plane ticket, and I was flying to Baltimore, memorizing 3/4 of the script, freaking out
Yeah.
because that's kind of a scary thing, at least it was for me. And
Hmm.
the whole team, everybody just wanted to see me do well. And we're so appreciative that I jumped in and and we just had a blast. I would say on Man Camp, it sounds silly, but I was cast, and it was 2 months later, I was in New York with my husband when I got a
Hmm.
phone call from the producer saying they had hired Pete Gardner, and I was such a fan, and I was like just blown away that I was going to get an opportunity to make this movie and
Hmm.
have him as my romantic counterpoint. I remember when I shot, I have this a wonderful part in a film called Duke. It's a indie film that like won billions of awards all around the
Hmm.
world. And I was going to go to the set for shooting, and I play a therapist that teaches an autistic boy how to communicate through the computer. It's actually
Right.
based on a true story. And it was just like a quick aside that there was going to be rabbits on the set. And I'm like, deathly, it's like a peanut allergy, deathly allergic to rabbits. And so they had to scramble and make sure there were no rabbits on the
Oh
set, and
no.
ended up bringing in a fish aquarium for my scene. There's always like something,
Yeah.
whether it's while you're filming or in the process of filming, that creates a moment that you're going to remember associated with that project.
Excellent. That sounds great. I did actually have another question thinking of that, and I've just completely forgotten it.
That's
Oh no!
okay.
I was as you're talking, then something popped into my mind, and it's just completely gone. Oh no, it's gone. Sorry, Tammy.
Okay. I mean, it's kind of like childbirth. There's always something about childbirth that you're going to remember, or raising your kids. There's those moments that like are more memorable than others.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
it may be the good, the bad, and the ugly, but they're the ones you're going to remember. Those moments.
I know it's a nice, fascinating answer to hear because it's difficult to actually pinpoint one, as you say, because every single thing you take a memory,
Yeah,
you learn from
yeah,
it. So
yeah.
who if you could have a director, which director would you love if you could name one? I know there's probably plenty of them out there, but if you could name just one, who would you love to be able to work with?
Um, I think it'd be fascinating to work with. I can't actually name names, but I think it'd be fascinating to work with some female directors at this time. Well, Sofia Coppola, I'd love to work with, but
Mm,
I think it would just be a different kind of energy. It'd be
yeah.
I would love to have that experience on a bigger project, on some indie projects and some shorts. I've certainly worked with some women, but it'd be great to do a full feature film and have that kind of energy. I wish I could come up with some names, but there's just so many emerging filmmakers at this moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. Catherine
Yeah.
Bigelow. Is it Catherine Bigelow? Is she?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
she
God. Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, it's just great. There's just so many people with really good visions out there. So it'll be nice. Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
good to see. I'm sure you
Yeah.
get that chance as well.
Yeah.
Seeing you will have that.
Fingers crossed,
Yeah,
fingers and toes
fingers.
crossed, right? You know, I mean, we all want to just continue working and creating art and creating characters and and making projects that hopefully move people and make them laugh and cry. And you know, that's really the goal of an actor, that feels like their acting is craft, like an artist who just wants to paint and wants to show people and move people with their art. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And during, I think that's come to light a lot during this pandemic. Might as well be current affairs. The pandemic that we've
Yeah.
got. I won't do the politics side of it, but otherwise
You
I
know,
will be here all night. I'll be honest.
don't get me started. I'll get in trouble.
So will I. So yeah, the pandemic side of things, and the British side of the politic bit is the fact that they seem to denounce the arts a lot, and I know that's the same a little more in the States as well. But that's the only politics side of there, is that, you know, they've defunded them, and they've just done an advert campaign here, for example, saying, I can't remember, it's Fatima. It was a picture of a ballet dancer, and it was like, Fatima could be working cyber, she just doesn't know it yet, and retrain and stuff. And it caused a huge furor, uproar, because it was like, you know, you're completely putting the arts down. So I've been involved in campaigns as well online, pushing people, because I think in this pandemic, the art and artists and actors, or everything like that, because they've come to the fore, because everyone has been locked down for 7 months. If we didn't have talents like yourself to be able to give us these shows and these films and stuff like this, I think there'll be a lot more trouble in the world, to be honest, because what we've done is sit and binge watch TV, we've binge watched films, we've listened to music, we've read books. All of these things are only there because of artists like yourself producing that. And I think that's highlighted to so many people.
And you know, it's not just, you know, Chris, it's not just the people in front of the camera. It's the people behind the camera, and it's everyone. But, and maybe it's because my kids aren't in my field, and maybe it's because my husband's not in my field, but I have a son who's a future restaurant owner, and you know, we're foodies. There's nothing more special than sharing a meal with someone and talking for hours and hours and having that culinary experience and sharing that together. And look at the people that are creating, that are artists, that are creating food to share with people in their kitchens. You know, at some point, I'm the eternal optimist, and at some point I think that this will all be behind us. And it may take us a long time to recover, but at some point I think the arts and the economy and all the industries, you know, will recover and be strong again. Even in the sports, like you look at the guys who sell hot dogs and toss peanuts at baseball games, you know, they right. And so, the truth is, we just need to take care of one another. You know, we need to care about one another. And if we all put positive energy into it and do the right things and wear our masks and take care of one another, maybe we will get back to life sooner than later. If we misbehave, it's going to be later. But if we all behave, maybe it will be sooner.
Yeah. Sadly, we're about to go into lockdown again here in the UK.
I know.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. They've closed Wales off. I'm saying policy. I've got a friend who's on Facebook before, and she lives somewhere in middle of England somewhere. And for the past week, Wales has been closed anyway, because they've said, no, they don't. You can't come in, because, you know, they want to keep it secure. And my friend, she's got a caravan in Wales, and she's in a caravan in Wales already saying, I'm making the most to spend the money in local shops before this, you know, the Welsh Prime Minister kicks us out. And I was like, but you shouldn't be here already. I said, you're not supposed to. I was just stirring the pot, because I like doing that to my friends sometimes.
Yeah, but it's true. Yeah, it's scary and it's sad, and I had a phone call to wish one of our best friends happy birthday right before I joined you on this call. Yeah. And we were talking about Paris, because we were in Paris together a couple of years ago, and they've gone to Paris. They're fluent French speakers. They live in New Orleans. And so we were just talking about the Paris is having to step back too. And, you know, Yeah.
It's
It's like
it is.
we are in an upside down flip side of life right now, that's been going on for months, right?
Yeah, yeah, it has. It has. I mean, I actually lost a friend of mine from uni a couple of weeks ago, not through
Oh, I'm
COVID, but
so,
he died. He passed away. It was complications. We couldn't go to his funeral because it was, and it was just, that's another thing. I think this pandemic. I'm not that I said I wouldn't talk about it, but but that's
no,
just. But it's just such an effect on people, and I think what your message was absolutely perfect. Is we'll take care of each other, and that's what we should do as a human
yeah,
race: is look after each
yeah.
other and and hopefully,
So we can heal, like we
yeah,
can't, so that we can heal. I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of knuckleheads out there, and maybe if everybody had 6 months ago behaved themselves, maybe we wouldn't be in this situation on month 7, of this. So,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's what we should be doing now is focus, like you say, focus to healing and focus
yeah,
on each other so we can heal and get through this.
absolutely. Take care of one another,
It would be,
right?
yeah.
Right.
So what else do you like to do to relax in your downtime? After,
Oh, well, I actually love to cook and I love to garden and I love to have people over where we sit for 5 hours enjoying lots of food that's home cooked. We have 2 adult sons that were raised in LA but live in Colorado. They spent their lives visiting, grandma and grandpa
Mhm.
and all their aunts and uncles and cousins in Denver, and they fell in love with the seasons and the Rockies. So, I miss being able to effortlessly see them. I did go see them a couple months ago very carefully. I had a test before I went there, and I had a
Yeah.
test when I came back, and I was very careful. And thank God for FaceTiming and that sort of
Oh
thing,
yeah.
so that you can actually, like you and I are doing, you can see people,
Hmm.
and it's a whole different experience than just talking on the phone. But I just love being with people, and I love hiking. And in California, we have, excuse me, we have the fires, and some of my favorite long distance hiking. I like to do like 10-mile hikes, and
Hmm.
some of my favorite areas were burnt up. They don't exist anymore, which means that you can't go to them for years, because if it's during the summer and it's 80, 90 degrees outside, there aren't trees to
To protect you,
shade you.
yeah.
And yeah, so and travel, and I love traveling and can't wait till we can do that again too, safely.
Oh yeah, definitely. That'd be nice when we
Yeah,
can.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Love to come visit your part of the world again. We were very young when we were in Wales, but I'd love to visit Wales again.
Oh, it's lovely. It's beautiful up here. Thankfully, I can. No, actually, no, I can't because we're not allowed to leave the county. So I'm literally, we can go so far. We can go about 5 miles, and then that's all we. That's all we can go. So snow. We got some
Wow.
Mount Snowdon and everything. So I'm pointing in that direction as if you really know where it is. But we got Mount Snowdon just over that side, which we can't go there
Wow.
at the moment because it's locked. And our favourite beaches are just, I live 400 meters from the beach, but so we've got that. We're blessed in the fact that we've got all that right at our doorstep, literally. So,
Right.
but yeah.
Our world has become very, very small, and we just
Hmm.
have to try to stay positive,
Oh yeah.
and maybe do things like I was shopping for a while for my neighbors, my senior neighbors.
Hmm.
Try to look for little things to help one another out, and just hold on to the fact that at some point this will be behind us.
Yeah. Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. Good advice.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, as I'll bring you to my signature question as I draw this to an end now.
Okay.
So you might be glad to find out.
No, no, this is such a. Oh no, I'm so enjoying talking. This is going to be the highlight of my day.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. This is the reason the history behind this question is purely I had a guest on my show a few years back who's worked with Jim Henson as a Muppeteer or a puppeteer for 30 odd years, and he was in
Wow.
Star Wars and stuff. So someone sent this question to him, and I thought it was a really good personality question. So I've asked pretty much everybody. So if you could have a Muppet created after you, your own personality, your own self, or if there's one existing out there, what Muppet would you be and why?
I think I'd be the Cookie Monster because I have a sweet tooth
Mm-hmm.
And who doesn't like cookies?
Exactly. Cookies. Yeah.
So I think I would be from Sesame Street. I think I would be something like a female version of the Cookie Monster.
Fair enough.
Maybe that really liked Reese's peanut butter cups and could eat them like nonstop and not worry about the calories.
So instead of cookies, it'd be Reese's.
It would be Reese's.
That's more Yoda.
Yeah. Yeah, it did sound like Yoda. You're right.
Oh, don't get me started. That's where I started the show years ago doing my impressions. Like, because we're 900 years old, you each look as good. You will not.
Chris, that's really good.
Thank you. Try or do or do not. There is no try.
Wow, that's great. See, now, because I'm tone deaf, I can hear things in my head, but I cannot. It's actually pretty funny for me to try to duplicate the sounds or even like accents. I've never been good at accents because I can hear it in my brain, but I can't. Yeah, it doesn't process, but that's very, very good. Your future career.
Thank you. I did actually do my Kermit to this guy because he was a Muppeteer. He was and he just. I'll do a little bit now, but he looked at me afterwards. He was like, "Okay," and I was so disheartened. I was like, "Thanks." He was like, "Why are there so many songs about rainbows?" That was my little Kermit.
That's great. I love that. That's great.
Excellent. Is there anything, Tammy, you would like to say to people now who are watching or listening?
Well, I guess I just love to tell other young actors and people wanting to break into the field that, you know, you have to train and you have to learn the business, but you have to be a real human being. And you need to fall in love and you need to have relationships and you need to be responsible about your about how you pay your bills, and you need to live life, you need to volunteer, and you need to socialize, and you need to enjoy nature, you need to read, and you can't bring to acting if you don't know about living life. And I think that probably goes for many, many careers. So, you know, people, to know me is to know that really is who I am. I so proud that we have raised thousands and thousands for kid cancer. That's kind of our pet charity. And I have done lots of volunteer work, and I really try to be a full rounded human being because I went into acting knowing that I would be doing it forever. And by doing it forever means that you have to live life and you have to come to the world as a full human being. So I guess I would just, you know, tell people to hang in there and look outside of yourself to see during this difficult time what you can do to maybe bring a smile to somebody's face.